It's really hard to imagine much bigger news in the world of rock and metal than what was announced today. Black Sabbath's final show ever, an event called Back to the Beginning, taking place on July 5th. The announcement really seemed to come out of nowhere. We have heard from pretty much all of the original members over the years that they were open to a final show. Ozzy himself has expressed numerous times that he wanted to give a proper farewell. And I really can't think of a better way to go out than this, an absolutely massive event featuring obviously Black Sabbath, with all four original members, Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and of course Bill Ward. And then on top of that, you have Ozzy performing solo. Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, Gojira, Alice in Chains, Halestorm, kind of feels like an odd one out, but Lamb of God, Anthrax, Mastodon, and then a ton of additional performances. There really is a lot to break down here. Beginning with the fact that I am a bit surprised, as I think most are. Again, this announcement seemingly came out of nowhere, but then we had that Power Trip Festival back in 2023. It was initially supposed to have Black Sabbath, but they ended up not doing it, as the other members, everyone but Ozzy, was not convinced that Ozzy would be able to perform the show. So then it was announced with Ozzy performing solo, and the other Sabbath members turned out to be correct, because if you recall, Ozzy ended up having to cancel and he was replaced by Judas Priest. And then more recently, Ozzy was inducted as a solo artist into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just towards the end of 2024. But of course, he was unable to perform. He was sitting on a throne the entire time for his speech. Although at the very least, I guess it was pretty cool. He was able to do the All Aboard intro for Crazy Train. But with this new event, the final show, I mean, there are so many artists performing. You have to assume short sets. If I had to guess, it would be structured similarly to the Taylor Hawkins tribute concerts, I'd have to imagine. You know, maybe there's a house backline for most of it. The musicians come out, do a couple songs, and then move on to the next set of artists. But you know, really, aside from Sabbath reuniting with all four original members, you know, if you remember, Bill Ward was, of course, not a part of the end. But aside from that, and the powerhouse artists that are confirmed for this event, which, you know, Eddie Trunk did point out, and I thought it was a good point to bring up. You know, maybe this lineup is so stacked, so huge, in the event that Ozzy can't do it, there's still enough substance for the show to happen. But you know, really, I think outside of all that, some of the most interesting things about this event lie within these special guests that are mentioned, probably with the most exciting being none other than Jake E. Lee. If you know the history, you know there was a lot of drama between Jake E. Lee and Ozzy's camp at the time, and continuing on over the years. Clearly, though, something must have worked out. Perhaps it's a situation of money talks. And clearly, I guess he will be up for performing by then as well, because he was, of course, shot just a few months back in Las Vegas, where he lives. But according to him, through a series of Facebook posts that he's made, he is recovering nicely, which is great to hear. But on top of that, both Mike Bordin from Faith No More and Rudy Sarzo are also confirmed to appear. All three of them, of course, part of Ozzy's solo band over the years at some point or another, although none of them were ever in Ozzy's band together, just kind of all spread out throughout the 80s and the 90s. But another former Ozzy member, not listed on the artwork, but he is mentioned in the social media posts from Ozzy announcing the Black Sabbath event, is Zakk Wylde. Not sure why he's not on the artwork, but between Zakk, Jake, Rudy, Mike, and Ozzy, I mean, that's a full lineup right there. Perhaps that will be the actual lineup for Ozzy's solo performance. You know, it very well could be nothing more than a case of wishful thinking. But hey, I mean, a guy can dream, right? Either way, I'm sure all of them will appear at some point or another throughout the show with Ozzy. But one of the other additional performances that has made a lot of headlines today is that Papa V Perpetua of Ghost will be there. If you follow Ghost and their lore, you'll know that they quote-unquote change singers every album cycle. You know, the band leader, Tobias Forge, just takes on the role of a new character. And in October of 2023, they played their final show with Papa Emeritus Force, so we knew that they would have a quote-unquote new singer. But what's interesting is that the name of the new character was revealed in Black Sabbath's announcement on the poster. Ghost themselves did not announce it, but clearly the tactic has worked, as everyone is talking about it today. The band did share a post that simply just said that Five is coming to Birmingham on July 5th, but that's it. Nothing else, no more info. They do have a world tour beginning in April, though, so the character will, of course, be revealed months ahead of the Sabbath show, but still, big news nonetheless. And one of the guests that really sort of sticks out like a sore thumb, at least in my opinion, is the drummer of Sleep Token, who goes by 2. Sleep Token, obviously a very different style of music. The newest artist that is a part of the event. I would imagine it'll be just 2 jamming out with various musicians on random songs. Probably the same situation with a lot of the other guest performers that were announced. Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins, Disturbed's David Draymond, Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit, Jonathan Davis of Korn, and so on. Both Slash and Duff from Guns N' Roses will be there, so I'm sure we'll get some GNR tunes. Sammy Hagar and Wolfgang Van Halen will be there. Will they do something together? Who knows? Obviously, that would be very, very cool if they did. KK Downing is also confirmed, so that'll be cool to see. I absolutely love KK's Priest. I don't know if he'll play anything from that band, probably not, but that second KK's Priest record, The Sinner Rides Again, is just absolutely fantastic. So good. Just all sorts of stuff happening with this event. Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine is also a special guest, as well as the music director for the show, and he says that this will be the greatest heavy metal show ever. It is very hard to argue that, no doubt. All told, this event will be beyond massive, and it's also all for a good cause. 100% of the profits are being donated to Birmingham Children's Hospital, Acorn Children's Hospice, and Cure Parkinson's, which of course Ozzy unfortunately has. The funds will be distributed evenly to all 3 of those different organizations. You know, obviously really just hoping that this thing can go off without a hitch and that Ozzy will actually be able to not only attend, but of course perform. Clearly everyone is feeling very confident that he will, so I guess we'll see. And I'm sure once this event takes place in July, there will be plenty to discuss about it. But that's all I got for you for right now. Thanks so much for hanging out. Feel free to drop a like and subscribe below if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time.